Are we all sitting comfortably? Because now it's time to begin. This is The Plot Against the King by Kash Patel of the Trump administration.
Excuse me, what's the Trump administration?
It's the government in America. The plot against the... That's Kash. Look. See? Once upon a time, in the land of the free, there lived a wizard called Kash, the distinguished discoverer. Kash was known far and wide as the one person who could discover anything about anything. He found the holy grape deep in the enchanted forest, and he discovered who had stolen the sleeping princess. The heralds...
Why was she sleeping?
haven't determined that yet. Maybe something to do with the grape. The heralds, who spread important news across the land with their herald trumpets, had sung of Kash's fame ever since he figured out that the Russiagate were cheating in the jousting tournaments. There's the jousting tournaments. But jousting is when there are two horses with men or women on top of them fighting usually with sticks called jousts. But all these quests had been easy for Kash, and as the sun rose and set over the land of the free, Kash found himself in grave danger. Not of trolls or ogres, but of getting bored.
Excuse me?
Yes, Marion.
Are we in the land of the free?
We're sort of on the edge of it. That is, until the choosing day. On choosing day, the whole land gathered at the castle to choose the next ruler of the kingdom. The heralds had been announcing that Hillary Queenton would be queen. She says queenly things like thee and thou and forsooth, and her last name is Queenton after all. But when the royal counter-uppers counted up the final votes, they realised that people had dared to choose the merchant Donald. Sorry, I shouldn't have overstimulated you just before bedtime. Well, I think the book's implying that he's good. The heralds and Hillary were horrified. Donald didn't care what the heralds said about him, and he was determined to make the kingdom great again. Thus, King Donald moved into the castle, and everyone turned to head home. There he is. I guess that's Donald. But before the people could leave, a herald jumped onto his stand to make a proclamation. "Wait!" he proclaimed through his herald trumpet. "Listen to what this noble knight has to say." Then a shifty-looking knight jumped onto the stand. "Donald isn't the rightful king. Inside this steel box I've found a paper that says that Donald cheated his way to the throne." But did he? You think he did?
Yes.
Well, we shall see. All of the people gasped. "We're shocked. How could he do such a thing?" So I think that's the guy with the trumpet, the herald. I guess that's Donald. "Apparently," said the shifty knight, "Donald made friends with the Russiagonians while drinking cherry ginger ale in the Swirly Tower Tavern in Russonia. And they helped him cheat." All of the people nodded. The heralds must be right. After all, they have loud trumpets and important pieces of paper. King Donald must be a cheater. And so, even though they hadn't looked at all the facts, everyone agreed that King Donald was a cheater. Everyone except for Duke Devon of the King's Court. Duke Devon. There's a lot of characters in this book. Duke Devon had known Donald for years, and he couldn't imagine the king had cheated. The Duke was loyal to the core, which is why Kash was not at all surprised when he walked through Kash's front door. "Kash!" said the distressed Duke. "I am distressed." I think the Duke is something to do with the real world. Devin, I've forgotten what Devin's role is. Cash, said the distressed Duke. I'll edit that out. Do that in post. I'm distressed. I know these terrible, tragical, tangleful rumours cannot be true of King Donald, but the heralds keep saying that they are true. It must be a plot against the king. That's a very serious thing to say, said Cash seriously. What does King Donald think about this? He calls them all fake heralds, shrugged the Duke. I must know what really happened.
What is a fake herald?
I don't know, it's quite a complicated way of explaining what's going on, I think is what it is, Marion. I guess it's someone who is kind of predicting the future, but in a way that's lying. We can't decide if they're right or wrong until we know all the facts. And if you're looking for facts, you came to the right place. Cash put on his wizard hat. There he is. I'm the distinguished discoverer, so I can discover anything about anything. What, Google? I'll help you on one condition. I must share the truth with everyone, no matter what I find. Of course, said Duke Devin, and so they set out on the quest for the truth about the plot against the king. There's the two dudes. For their first stop, Cash and Devin visited the Shifty Knight, clues in the title, mate, and his herald friends. I'm absolutely sure that Sir Trump... They've changed it to Trump now. I'm absolutely sure that Sir Trump is a cheater, the Shifty Knight said. I found the paper that proves it right here in this steel box. The Steele dossier. The Steele dossier.
What's a dossier?
Collection of paper with some things written on it. But when Cash looked into the box, he found a long, sticky, silvery streak of slime. Ah, said Devin. I've seen this before. He and Cash hurried to the slug stables in a shadowy corner of the castle.
What's a slug stable?
I guess it's like a horse stable, but it's where all the slugs hang out. The keeper of the slugs, named Keeper Comey, was in charge of delivering all the king's secret messages. But on his desk, Cash spotted a suspicious letter. Dear Comey, most sincerely I thank thee for the service of delivering my papers with thine slugs to this steel box so sneakily. Forsooth, in all the land shall not be found a deceiver so daring or devious. All my love, Hillary Quinton! Yes! Aha! Cried Cash. Now we know where the mysterious rumour came from. All we have left is to discover whether or not Hillary Quinton is lying. I wonder. That very evening, Cash and Devin set off for the kingdom of Russonia to seek the Swirly Tower Tavern. But when they arrived, there was no such place to be found. They searched and searched. They looked around, all around the corners and all in the cracks. They even asked the locals, who only huffed and grunted and couldn't help at all. No one had ever heard of such a place. I was just wondering whether we should have a break.
It's quite intense.
Well, we'll be back every day this week to finish the plot against the king. No, we're actually halfway through. We're over halfway through. It's not too bad. But it does feel like one of those that would go on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Okay, we're going to carry on now. Are you ready? It's nearly bedtime.
Are we going to carry on? Okay. We are actually going to carry on.
Yes.
Okay.
I've discovered, said Cash, that Swirly Tower Tavern cannot be discovered. I've discovered that Swirly Tower Tavern cannot be discovered. The steel box paper is looking very suspicious. It only makes sense, said Duke Devin. Everyone knows King Donald doesn't even drink cherry ginger ale. Cash and Duke Devin hurried back to the land of the free, straight to the king's castle. They had an important meeting to call. All of the heralds and all of the knights filed into the room. The Shifty Knight stood at the very front. I wonder if we can see where he is. Oh, there he is. See that shifty face? Shifty Knight. Kash declared, "The steel box paper is not true. We went to Russonia and we discovered there is no swirly tower tavern. So now I need to..." I think this is what this is referring to is that rumour about Donald Trump getting weed on. You know that one? Maybe you don't need to know that one.
Didn't someone... Oh, no, it was a milkshake that got thrown. No, that was it. Nigel Farage, wasn't it?
We discovered that there is no swirly tower tavern. So now I need to know, do any of you have any other reason to believe King Donald cheated in any way? One by one, they all scratched their heads and cleared their throats and said, "No, I don't know of any reason or any way." Afterwards, Kash followed the shifty knight outside. "If you didn't have a reason to believe that King Donald was a cheater, why did you say all those nasty things about him to the heralds?" "We tried our best to find evidence. Keeper Comey even sent his slugs into this castle to spy on the king. But I don't care that we couldn't find anything," said the shifty knight. The shifty knight, actually it says the shifty knight shifted. "I just really, really didn't like Donald." Then the shifty knight ran straight to the heralds. "Heralds," he said, "go forth throughout the kingdom. I have a very good reason to believe that King Donald is a cheater." "What is it?" the heralds asked. "I can't tell you, it's a secret." The shifty knight smiled. "Ooh," said the heralds. They all love secrets. "We'll tell everyone right away." And so they did. All of the people nodded when they heard. They must be right. After all, they have loud trumpets and an important secret. And so everyone agreed that the shifty knight was telling the truth, even though they didn't have any reason to believe him. As he watched all of this happen, the king became sad. "They're still spreading lies," he told Kash. "How will the people ever learn the truth?" Kash sighed. He knew the answer. It was up to him to present the evidence to the people. Gathering his courage and all of his evidence, Kash dashed up the stairs that wound around the gold tower, but Hillary and the shifty knight were right behind him.
Where's Hillary?
They seem to have not drawn Hillary at any point in the book. I don't know if there's a copyright issue.
Is it because she's very ugly?
Maybe. Look, they've all got MAGA on their shields. When Kash reached the top, he paused to tie his wizard shoes. Unfortunately, Hillary and the shifty knight... Hillary, I think that's her.
Oh.
And the shifty knight didn't...
She looks nice.
Yeah, she didn't... They didn't stop. Didn't see him stop, and they tumbled over him. There they are, falling over. Oh, no, she's fallen in a moat. She should be in jail. Instead, she's in a moat. Kash stood up and addressed everybody. "Everybody, I am Kash, the great wizard and the distinguished discoverer. I've discovered that the king, King Donald, is innocent. He did not work with the Russonians, and he did not cheat. You chose him, so he became king, fair and square." Hillary wrote that paper. Hillary wrote that paper. And, oh, they've... Yeah, you need to use quote marks. Kash. Hillary wrote that paper and had her sneaky slugs slide it into the steel box for the shifty knight to find. Now that you know more of the facts, it's time for you to think carefully and decide what you think of the king. Don't just trust the person with the loudest trumpet. The people paused and considered Kash's speech. We shouldn't have believed that the king was a cheater without any proof, they said. Now that they had all the evidence, they clapped and cheered and threw a huge party for the king. The shifty knight tried to say Kash was lying, but the knights of the oval table carried him, Hillary Queenton and Keeper Comey, out of the kingdom, banishing them forever. Still a couple more pages. Some of the heralds kept spreading the rumour, but they soon got bored. They moved on to more exciting tales, declaring the sun was made of mustard and would soon drip down and make everything yellow and mustardy. Can you imagine that, Marion?
Yum.
Kash only shrugged. As long as there were people in the land of the free, someone would be trying to spread a ridiculous story. But Kash was satisfied that he knew the truth, And after his proclamation, anyone else who wanted to know what really happened could learn it too. But they're all having a nice dinner now.
Is there mustard there?
Possibly maybe in the meat. And so Duke Devon, King Donald, and Kash, the distinguished discoverer, went back into the castle to share a nice meal with no ginger cherry ale. And with that, the kingdom was made great again. And from that day on, they lived happily ever after. The end. Now, this is the true story of Kash, Patel and Russiagate. But even though it's the true story, it begins, "Dear citizen of the land of opportunity." After Donald Trump's election in 2016, the liberal media began buzzing about a leaked document known as the Steele dossier, which you probably can't talk about in front of children. Written by Christopher Steele, the dossier claimed that President Trump had colluded with Russia to steal the election and have a prostitute urinate on him. The House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence was chosen to investigate this Russia collusion narrative, and Chairman Devin Nunes asked me, Kash Patel, to lead his team. We conducted our investigation in 3 steps. Let's leave this bit. Let's leave this bit off the end. Good night, children.